Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement, in my parents' basement, in the great state of Kansas. And coming back with a live stream last week or two ago, I did my top 10 favorite bands of all time at this moment. So I wanted to talk about my top 10 favorite male solo artists. So we're talking about the guys today. I'll do a female solo artist another time. But yeah, talking about people that might have came from bands that went solo, but and all kinds like rock singers, pop singers, folk singers, all those kinds, and talking about which ones their solo work are my favorite, my top 10 in that category, um, and maybe some hot takes, maybe some usual ones in here as well. Um, First, I'd like to talk about some people that did make my list that I like quite a bit that I considered on my list. James Taylor did make my list, so I do love his sound. I love folk music, so he's definitely one of those. And I haven't really listened to all of his stuff, so he's definitely someone I need to deep dive at some point, get more into. I do have one of his albums at the moment. Of course, Fine Rain is an amazing song, and he has a lot of great songs. Harry Chapin is another one. I do like his storytelling. I love songs like Taxi and Cats in the Cradle, absolute incredible stuff as well. Damien Rice, he only made 3 albums, and I do love his music, but I didn't quite put him on here because he just really hasn't had enough output for me to consider on that. Josh Groban, I actually really like Josh Groban, though I haven't really listened to all of his stuff, and I have to admit some of the stuff is kind of boring. But he is an amazing singer. I consider him mainly because I think he's probably the best male singer I've ever heard. And I do have his Christmas album, which I really enjoy. Neil Young, definitely someone to consider. I do love Harvest and After the Gold Rush, and Everybody Knows It's Nowhere. I do like a lot of those albums and a lot of songs on there. Old Man, Heart of Gold. I know he made like a ton of albums, and I haven't deep dived him just because I knew it was going to take too long. But maybe one day, now that his music is on Spotify. Jimi Hendrix, I considered. Again, he only made 3 albums, so it's hard to. He doesn't feel like he has enough output to make it on here. But I do love his first album, the Jimi Hendrix Experience. I think is a really great album, and I do love his guitar playing and all that. Um, so that was a consideration. Buddy Holly, man, I really love to put him on here. It's just that he didn't. He was in an era. He wasn't really around that long, and he was in an era where they didn't really make big albums, and he does have one really good album, I think, called like something about the Crickets. Anyways, that I do really like that album, but he does have a lot of great '50s songs that I really like. He's my favorite artist from the '50s era. So unfortunately, Buddy Holly just barely misses. Though I am a big fan of his music. Sam Cooke, another one. I really love his music as well from the '50s period, especially. What a great singer! Really one of the smoothest singers ever. Has tons of hits. Again, he doesn't have a great like album, collection because of that period, but I really love his voice. I even consider Elvis Presley, even though I'm not the biggest Elvis Presley fan, but again, he does have a lot of great hit songs in the '50s period that I actually really enjoy. Does make a lot of great albums, in my opinion. Another person I'll talk about is Garth Brooks. Very close to Garth Brooks because I'm not a big country music fan, but I was a huge Garth Brooks fan when in the '90s when I was a kid. Before I became a Beatles fan, in fact, I was a big Garth Brooks fan and had a lot of albums. And I bought a lot of albums of his from that '90s period so far, and some of them are actually really good. So Garth Brooks. So again, I haven't ventured in all of his music. I feel like, and um again, I'm not a big country music fan, so he just barely misses the list, but very close to and maybe I'll have to consider him in the future when I hear all his music and all that. Anyway, so that's some of the honorable mentions of guys that I considered put on this list, but I went with these 10 that I'm going to talk about. And I should say that a lot of these artists, I haven't heard all their music, so I definitely need to listen to more music of these individuals, but it's like I've heard enough of their albums and I know they're big hits to kind of put on this list. So at number 10 on my list, top 10 favorite male artists, I have Lionel Richie at number 10 on my list. And I don't know, I've always been a fan of Lionel Richie, even when I was a kid. I think my dad always was a fan of his, and I would hear his music and knew all his big hits and stuff like that. More recently, I kind of got into more of his albums. I have his first three albums on vinyl, which is really cool. All originals. And Can't Slow Down is the one that I absolutely love. It came out in '83, the year I was born. That is a 10 out of 10 album. And it's probably might be my favorite album of the '80s period. I know I've said that in the past. I have to reconsider that probably, but it's definitely up there as one of the best '80s albums, in my opinion. I feel like Lionel Richie gets not a lot of love in the vinyl community. In fact, I've mentioned him before, and I've been made fun of for liking Lionel Richie, which I don't understand, because he was a big artist at the time in the '80s, and even before the '80s when he was with the Commodores. They had some hit songs, with Easy and Brick House and all this. So he already was an established, lead singer and songwriter. Even before he went solo in like 1980, '81, he went solo with his first album, Lionel Richie, which is also a really good album I really enjoy. Um, I don't know. I do love, and I'm not a big R&B guy, but Lionel Richie to me was more maybe a little of R&B and pop mixed together. There's enough pop in there that I really enjoy his style of music, and I love his voice. I think he has a really great voice, very smooth again, and I think he's a really good songwriter. He writes, I think all the songs I think he writes or co-writes, and I think a lot of them are love songs. So he does go more into the writing love song type stuff, but they're really good love songs. I mean, um, "Stuck on You" is I absolutely love that. One of my favorite love songs of that period. One of my favorite of his. My favorite song is "Hello," which is the closer to "Can't Slow Down." Man, I love that. "Hello, is it me you're looking for?" Oh, I can see it in your eyes. It's just a great melody. It's a beautiful song. Great vocals on that. "All Night Long" is amazing. Also, "Penny Lover." Yeah, there's lots of great songs, and even "Dancing on the Ceiling" has a "Say You, Say Me," another great song. One of my favorites of his. That's a big hit. But yeah, just lots of really good music. Again, I haven't listened. I've only heard the first three albums. I like all three of his first albums. So far, he's doing very well for me as I continue to deep dive Lionel Richie albums and stuff. But yeah, overall, love his voice, love the songwriting, love the style, love the first three albums. So he made it here at number 10 for me, Lionel Richie. Number nine, I don't know if this will get some hate again for me, but I can't deny it. Number nine, I have Ed Sheeran. I am a big Ed Sheeran fan because I feel like I discovered him before he became a big thing, before he became famous, before he made his first album. I heard him on like I want to say I heard him on the Conan O'Brien's like Late Night with Conan O'Brien. Um, at the very end of the show, they have a musical guest do a song, and I used to watch. I'm a big Conan O'Brien fan. I used to watch the show, and I don't know this, and I don't know if I was in college at this point. I probably was in college, but I remember watching it, and I loved watching late night television at that time. And he said, "All right, here's a artist Ed Sheeran, who I never heard of before, with a new single called A Team." And so I'm like, okay, I don't know anything about this artist or the song, but I'm always interested in hearing new artists and stuff. And then yeah, there's Ed Sheeran singing A Team, and I absolutely loved it right away. Right away, I was like, this song's amazing. Like, I love the guitar playing, the acoustic guitar playing. I'm always a big fan of guys that are singer songwriters that play acoustic guitar. Always been a favorite of mine. So I loved his style of playing the acoustic guitar. Loved the melody of the chorus was so good. She's in the class A team, but lately she's whatever. Oh, it's really great. And I thought even the lyrics I thought was really good when I was listening. I go, man, these are really good lyrics. And I loved his voice. I thought, man, this guy's amazing. Who is this guy? Ed Sheeran. I never heard of this guy. And on one viewing, one song, I was like a fan. And again, he had never made an album at this point. I remember looking him up, and he had on iTunes, and he had like an EP out, I think it's called, and he had he had six songs maybe or something like that. And 18 was one of them. He had some other ones that became hits like Lego House, I think, Give Me Love. And I remember hearing these songs going, man, these songs are all really good. why is this guy not? This guy should be a big hit artist. Like he should be, he might be the next big thing. And boy, was I right. And it was one of those big discoveries where I was like, I felt like I discovered him before everybody else. Now, I'm sure I'm not the first one to discover him. Other people were fans before me, but it is one of those cool things where you discover somebody and go, man. You want to tell people, like, you ever heard this Ed Sheeran guy? He's nobody now, but I think if, maybe I'm the only one who loves his music, but I feel like he should be a big deal. and I remember I bought his songs on iTunes, what he had out at that point, and I made people listen to it. So I was like, I don't know, this Ed Sheeran guy, he might be a thing. He may not be a thing, but I feel like if he continues this, route, he could be a big deal. Boy, he came bigger than I even expected. He finally came out with his first album. Plus, he had A-Team on there, I think Lego House maybe, and some other stuff, and it was quite good. And people started taking notice. It did very well, but then it felt like it was still like maybe the next couple albums that he just went into superstardom. I think Divide, I don't know if that came out next, or Times. One of those albums came out, and I remember it was just huge. It was like one of the biggest, album sellers. And like Shape of You was a huge song on the radio. Um, uh, I'm gonna forget the name of the song, but there's no song that was really huge that like won a Grammy for best song. And he came out with like Perfect, Castle on the Hill, all these numerous big hit songs, getting nominated for a lot of Grammys, and was like selling out, big stadiums. And I remember when that happened, I was like, okay, I was right. This guy was going to be a big deal. Like I thought this guy was talented, and it felt like everybody else kind of found out after me and caught up with what I already knew. It was like, man, this guy's a great songwriter. I love his acoustic guitar playing. I think he has a great voice. The only thing I don't like about him is when he raps, because I'm not a big fan of rap. So I hate I think especially that Times album, he does a lot of rapping in it, and it's like a double album. So I'm like, I'm like, why rap when you're such a good singer? Just sing. That's your specialty. You play acoustic guitar and you sing really well. Like, why go to rap? Anyways, but yeah, he has a lot of great songs. I really like Plus and Divide. I think are really good albums. I think right now Divide's my favorite album of his, and Castle on the Hill is my favorite song now. It was always the A-Team because that was the first song I heard, and I always still think that's an amazing song. But Castle on the Hill, I just absolutely love that chorus. That I'm on my way, bum 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 bum, Castle on the Hill. Oh, it's just an incredible melody. His voice is incredible. I love some of the songwriting there. Like, I had my first kiss. I was so nervous. I think I missed. There's some great lyrics in there. Anyways, but Perfect is a really great love song to his wife. Lots of great stuff there. And then I remember Equals coming out, and I bought that. I have that on. I think I have Plus and Divide on CD right now, and I have Equals on vinyl. And that was one of the first vinyls I bought actually when I started collecting vinyl. And Equals was at Walmart, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, didn't know anything about the album, but I was an Ed Sheeran fan, so I bought it just on a whim. I really like that album. I think it's actually a really good album. First Times, I think it's called, is a really good song. But Bad Habits, Shiver, really good stuff. I think that's what they're called. But anyways, really good album. So I'm like, man, this guy, just everything he does is really great. I will say I'm not a big fan of Minus. I think one of his last albums he made. Minus, I don't know. I wasn't as big on that one. But then he came out with another one called Autumn Variations, which I thought was actually pretty decent. And I think he's coming out with another album this year, if it's not out already. I think it's coming out soon. So we'll see. But anyways, again, I'm a sucker for this style. He's kind of a pop singer, but he plays acoustic guitar. I love people like that. And he writes great melodies, and I love his voice. So yeah, Ed Sheeran here at number 9. Again, I think there's probably a lot of haters out there that don't like Ed Sheeran because he came so famous so quickly that people just start hating him. I don't know. I think the guy's real talented, so I'm still a fan, and I'll still get whatever album comes out next. Number 8, we're going to go with more traditional, older artists that hopefully people will agree with me on, and that is Paul Simon here at number 8. And it's another one where I haven't heard all of his albums, so I can't really talk about his discography in total necessarily. I've heard some of his big ones though, and I've always been a big Paul Simon fan since his Simon Garfunkel days. I'm a big fan of Simon Garfunkel. Love their albums. Love his overall, and he wrote a lot of songs. So I mean, he is definitely like on that Mount Rushmore of like one of the greatest like songwriters of this period. I mean, it's so good. I mean, um, Sounds of Silence, one of the best written songs ever. I absolutely love that song. My favorite Simon Garfunkel song. But then he had a great solo career as well. And again, he's a guy that plays mostly acoustic guitar. I think he's a great songwriter. He doesn't have the best voice necessarily, but it's good. It's good enough that he does a good job. I think it's really his acoustic guitar playing is just one of the best ever. Like I really love the way he plays guitar. And again, songwriting is absolutely amazing. His first album, Paul Simon, I think it's called, was a decent album. I think overall. I love songs like Father and Child Reunion is great. Something So Right. I don't know if it's on that album, but Something So Right is one of my favorite Paul Simon songs. I don't know if that was a big hit, but when I heard him play on Saturday Night Live on like a rerun. I was like, this song is one of the best written songs ever. Talking about, when something goes right, it confuses me because I'm not used to being things going right. I'm always used to bad things happening to me. It's a very pessimistic song, but I really like it. Really spoke to me. It's a great song. I love Something So Right. Probably his best written song. My favorite song right now is American Tune. Man, the acoustic guitar playing is so good. It reminds me of some of the Simon Garfunkel type songs that he would write during the 60s period. It's all right. It's all right. Uh, it's American Tune, whatever. It's simple. It's just him and acoustic guitar mostly, but man, it is so good. I absolutely love that style of music. My favorite album is There Goes Rhyme Simon. I think it's a really good album. Lots of good stuff. I love Mardi Gras is a really good like deep cut that I really like off that album. Besides, Me and Hulu Down by the Schoolyard's a great song as well. The big surprise is I'm not a fan of his big album, though I do like the song. That won the Grammy album of the year. Now I'm trying to remember the name of the album. Now I can't remember the name of the album, but I think it's the next album maybe after It Goes Rhyme and Simon, which is a great album name too. Now I can't remember the name of it. And I have nobody comments to tell me what it is. If you're a Paul Simon fan, you might know what I'm talking about, but gosh, I won't remember. Anyways, it won Grammy album of the year, but I think it's actually a very boring, slow album. So that might surprise people, but I'm not as big on that though. I do like the title song is really good. And then Graceland is a good album. That also won album of the year. So he won 2 Grammy albums of the years. So he had a really good 70s period, obviously. And well, no, that was 80s. Graceland was like 85 or something like that. So one in the 70s, one in the 80s. And besides, he won 1970 for Bridge Over Troubled Waters as well with Simon Garfunkel. So, I mean, 3 basically Grammys for album of the year. Pretty incredible career. But yeah, Graceland. I love You Can Call Me Al, another favorite of mine. It's a very more, I love the horns. The horn section is so amazing there, but it's so catchy. It's kind of silly at times, but man, that horn section is so good that it keeps coming in. And You Can Call Me Al, bam, bam, whatever the horn section comes in. Yeah, that's my favorite song off there. She's got Diamonds on the Sole of Her Shoes, also really good. And of course, Graceland, the title song. Overall, a really good album there. And then a later song I really love is called Father and Daughter. Is absolutely amazing acoustic guitar song. Written for a movie, the Walt Thornberry's movie, but I love that song. Again, I need to listen to more of his later work. And recently I was listening to Heart and Bones, and so far I really like that album. So I need to go through that album again, and that might be one of my favorite. From what I've heard so far, that could be one of my favorite Paul Simon albums. So again, there's more albums for me to listen to on him, and he could go up this list. But right now, I got Paul Simon at number 8 on my list. Number 7, I had to have this guy. I mean, most influential songwriter of all time, Bob Dylan here at number 7. It's hard to talk about Bob Dylan because I'm a big fan of more of his 60s period, especially mid 60s period. I think is really great music. I'm a really big fan of that. Beyond that, I'm not too big a fan of his music beyond the 60s, except for Blood on the Tracks. I really like that album. That came out in the 70s, I think 75 or something like that. Like that's a 170s album I'm a really big fan of. Besides that, I'm not a big fan of a lot of his 70s, 80s, whatever on work. And then his voice gets so bad that I can't stand his voice. But I had to put him in here because the 60s output was so good. And I do love a lot of the albums there. Um, and I recently saw that in the movie. I thought it was so good. A Complete Unknown was so good and really showed Case's, coming into the folk scene, becoming a great folk singer, and then changing to folk rock, and how that was such a controversial decision, putting electric guitar with folk music. But Bob Dylan was so good at changing things and not staying by the status quo and kind of doing things his own way, not doing anything that people thought he should do, but doing it the way he wanted to do it. And he really paved the way for influencing both folk music and rock music. I mean, everybody from the Beatles, the Hollies, um, anybody that was in a rock band at that time was influenced by Bob Dylan. Besides probably all the folk singers as well, of course, which is where he really got to start. I really love his output before he was electric. Actually, I found this out when I was going through his 60 albums. My favorite album right now is The Times Are Changing. I think is a 10 out of 10 album. I love that album. The Times Are Changing is one of my favorite songs of his too. I mean, it's great lyrically, and it fits for today. The times are changing, and not for good, but really good. The times they are changing. Love that chorus kind of, and the harmonica sounds so good as well. Um, that's great. I love God on Our Side. I think it's such a wonderfully written song, going through different wars and talking about how everybody thinks God is on their side, but we won, so God is in our. I don't know. It was a really cool written song. Again, I love just him and acoustic guitar and harmonica. I think I find is my favorite Bob Dylan's music for the most part, because I love that. There's stuff like Spanish Leather or something like that is really good, and there's a lot of good deep cuts on the album. I'm also a big fan of Another Side of Bob Dylan, the next album that came out. I think is really good. It's his last of his very folksy. Free Will and Bob Dylan's also decent, of course. You got some early stuff like Blowing in the Wind is great, of course. Mr. Tambourine Man came later in '65, I guess, but I mean, just classic after classic song that would even come bigger from other groups. Other groups would take his music and make big hits out of it, like the Byrds, obviously, and the Moms, or Peter, Paul, and Mary, and all that, and everybody was taking his music because it was all popular. But yeah, there's that about Dylan. Really good stuff. He has some really funny songs on there that are more comical that I really enjoy as well. But man, I love It Ain't Me, Babe. I absolutely love that song. It was a really interesting written song and just that chorus, it ain't me, babe. No, no, no. Some of his best vocal work. He's not a great vocalist. He's not known for that, but I do love his vocals there. And My Back Pages, one of my all-time favorite. It's definitely top 5 favorite Bob Dylan song. I was older then. I'm younger than that now. Great lyric. Yeah, I love that song. Then you get his biggest album of all time, 61 Highway 61 Revisited. Yeah, a great album again. And you got my favorite song, Like a Rolling Stone, probably his most catchiest song that he has. That how does it feel to be on your own like a Rolling Stone? I mean, super catchy, yet still lyrically amazing, and musically, I think it's just amazing. But Queen Jane Approximate is a great song, a really underrated song. And then Desolation Row, I think the closer, it's like a 10-minute song, and it's great. And it's not a hit. Also, you got the song about Mr. Jones is also really good as well. Anyways, but yeah. And then he had a song that came out that time that was really good that wasn't even on the album. Positively 4th Street is one of my favorite Bob Dylan songs. And didn't even make that album, which unfortunately, because I love that song. But anyways, so that's probably his biggest album. And then you get Blonde on Blonde as well. The double album is great as well. And then, like I said, and then I'm not liking a lot of stuff until you get to Blood on the Tracks. I think it's another really great album. It has one of my favorite songs on it, which I'm not going to remember on top of my mind because I have a hard time remembering everything without having it in front of me. Because I do have those albums, but they're in a box somewhere. But anyways, besides that, yeah, so there's enough really good albums to put him on here. The only problem is he has so many albums after that I'm not a fan of. So it's hard to, how do you talk about Bob Dylan when you can only talk about one part of his career? If I'm taking his whole career, that's why he's not higher on my list, because as a whole, I'm not like a big fan of a lot of his music, but there is there's 4 or 5 really good albums in this really early period that I really like. That he belongs on here. He's just one of the great songwriters and folk singers of all time. So it's like he had to make my list. So here he is at number 7. At number 6, you have kind of the opposite of Bob Dylan, but I'm such a big fan that I put him at number 6, and that is Jim Croce. I absolutely love Jim Croce's music, and I say this is kind of the opposite because he only made 3 albums before he tragically died in a plane wreck, and Bob Dylan's still alive today. And again, Jim Croce only has 3 albums. Bob Dylan has a million albums out, but the 3 albums Jim Croce does have out, I like all 3 albums. And you don't mess with that. You don't mess around with Jim's one of my all-time favorite albums of all time. One of the best folk albums you'll ever hear. Tom and the Bottle, my favorite Jim Croce song. Absolutely love that. Again, he's one of those where the acoustic guitar playing is so amazing. I love him, and the other guy that plays with him. The 2 acoustic guitars together are so amazing. And lyrically, it's just a wonderful song about wishing you could stop time to spend time with your loved ones. Oh, it's just maybe one of the best love songs ever written. Uh, and I love Jim Croce's voice. He has such a great voice as well. But I mean, Operator, I absolutely love that song. I mean, that album has like my favorite Jim Croce songs on it. Operator, the acoustic guitar playing is phenomenal, very catchy, and great songwriting again. And then Photographs and Memories. I mean, come on, how good is that song? And that's maybe my second or third favorite song on that album. And another great acoustic guitar playing. But I love the writing about looking at photographs and having these memories of the past, about the good times you used to have. It's almost a heartbreaking song, but it's so beautifully made. New York's Not My Home. Another just absolutely amazing song. I love. Anyway, so yeah, I love that album. So many great hits. And then you got like, I Got a Name is that album that has that top song is great. I have to say, I Love You in the song is amazing. Um, but yeah, there are just so many, and there's some great deep cuts as well on those albums. It's just so sad that he only has 3 albums out. But like I said, I think all 3 albums are really good. And like I said, my favorite album is like a top 20 album for me of all time. So that's why he's here at number 6. His output wasn't great, but what he did make was amazing. Anyway, so Jim Croce here at number 6 on my list. All right, so we're again down to my top 5 favorite. This is really hard. My top 5, all of them could. My number 1, I knew was going to be my number 1, but my 2 through 5 could be all mixed up. I mean, they're all amazing artists in my opinion. In fact, the guy I have number 5 feels low. It feels like I should have this guy higher, and that is John Denver at number 5. And if you know me, I talk about John Denver a fair amount of times on my channel. I'm a big John Denver fan, and I have 3 of his albums in my top 100 favorite albums. Truth is, though, I don't really know his whole discography. I haven't gone through, and that's mostly because he has another person who has a huge discography. So I guess I'm a little intimidated trying to go through it. But I try to listen to his big albums, and they're amazing. Poems, Prose, and Promises it was a top 10 album for me. It's now in the top 15 favorite albums of all time. So still really high up on my list. That's my favorite album of his and one of his early albums. And I absolutely love that album. Has my favorite song of his, Sunshine on My Shoulders. Absolutely love that song. And I love John Denver's style. He's a folk singer. He has some country mixed in there. But he sings about nature, and he has, traveling somewhat. He tells stories in his songs, of course. Some love songs in there, but they're mostly not about love songs, I don't think. He sings all kinds of stuff that I don't hear other songwriters sing about. And I think it's another one where his songwriting is just absolutely amazing. And his voice, he has such an amazing voice. And it's so soothing. He has a very mostly chill, soothing style to him that I really love. And I think his music is so fun to listen to while you travel too. He has a lot of good songs for traveling. Because my biggest memory as a kid, my 2 parents were huge John Denver fans. That's, to this day, if you ask them, that's probably their favorite artist of all time. is John Denver. So there's a lot of John Denver played in the house when I was a kid and on vacation. Every time we went on vacation, we'd be listening to John Denver music, and that's why I get this. I love listening to John Denver when I'm traveling. Of course, Rocky Mountain High and like Country Roads are two of the best probably when it comes to travel. But yeah, so I was always a fan. I always was around his music as a kid and always was enjoying his music. And then when I finally kind of got around to, okay, I know my parents love him, but do I really love him or do I just love him because my parents love him? So I tried listening to his music, recently, and yeah, I love his music. And a lot of that probably is because my parents' influence on me, but I do really love his overall sound and all that. And I do love because he has almost a mid. I'm from the Midwest, and yet I think he talks about things, small town Midwest, kind of stuff that I would like because that's who I am. And so I feel like his style of music really speaks to me as a Midwesterner. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy by saying that, but and he talks about mountains. We don't have any mountains in Kansas, but still, I love mountains. So in Colorado's right next to us. But anyways, I'm just talking about John Denver and Dole. Just love his overall style. But yeah, Poems, Prayers, Promises. I love Poems, Prayers, and Promises. The song, it's one of my top five, probably another one of my all-time favorite John Denver songs. Love the whole idea of just sitting around a campfire and telling stories and hanging out with friends and just talking about the past, wondering about the future. Oh, it's just a wonderful song. Yeah, I love that. And Country Roads is on the album too. Of course, that's probably his most famous, and it's probably one of the best choruses. Those country roads take me home to where I belong. It's just so fun to sing to. It's like you can go to any country and Country Roads will be on they'll play that like in any bar. Like I watched like stuff where they're in Germany and that song will come over the speakers or something. It's like everybody loves that song no matter where you're from. It's about it's about like the Virginia, West Virginia area. But yeah, obviously a great song as well. And there's songs like Matthew, which is great. I think, and I'm gonna forget what albums these are off of, but Rocky Mountain High, another absolutely 10 out of 10, great album. Rocky Mountain High, what a great song about the Rocky Mountains. I love the Rocky Mountains. Anytime I go to Colorado, I'm always blessed. So anytime I hear that song, I think about the Rocky Mountains. I mean, that's how that song really, you feel like you have traveled to the Rockies when you hear that song, and he nails it. They're so great. That is an amazing song. I think Prisoners is on that album, which is a really great song as well. I should say he also has good covers on like Poems, Prayers, and Promises with Junk and I know one he has Mother Nature's Son is on one of the albums. Fire and Rain is another great cover. He does a good job with covers, I think, as well. They sound a little different because it's him, but yet are still not as good as originals, but still pretty good. But yeah, and then with Rocky Mountain High, you have the Rocky Mountain Suite, whatever, at the end, which is really cool, which is all these songs kind of dealing with the different seasons, summer, winter, or fall, winter, spring, and it kind of has the same theme throughout. It was a really cool way to end that album. So those two albums to me are 10 to 10 albums, must listen to albums. And then Back Home Again is the other album I really enjoy, which has Back Home Again on it, like I said. It does have a little more of this country flavor with, Thank God I'm a Country Boy and stuff like that. But still another really good album anyways. So again, I need to listen to more John Denver albums, but just because of those three albums, he still makes it in my top five. Plus, I've listened to his music since I was a little kid, so he's always been a childhood favorite of mine. So it could go higher, but right now he's at number 5. Number 4, we have Elton John. In my opinion, one of the best pop singers of all time, and he didn't write his music, but he's such a great music arranger, and he has some of the great pop music and ballads ever. And we've been going through a lot of his albums on another channel. On Jacob Martin's channel, I know we've been we just did what's it called, like Cowboy Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Band, I think it was called. We just went through the album recently, so we're going through kind of this big period. I think we got Walk of the Resties maybe next. So I haven't heard, again, I know Elton John has this huge discography, so I haven't gone through all of it, but I've gone through a lot of his 70s albums that were big albums, and so I've hit a lot of his great music. And It's funny. I don't have any albums that I'm absolutely the best one is Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, and in fact, I probably give that 10. I keep giving it 9.5, but the more I think about it, I should give that album 10 out of 10. It's just an amazing album. Uh, with Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, Benny and the Jets is my favorite song on there. I absolutely love that. I love his piano playing. I just love that bum 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 and Benny, and I love his high voice on that. It's such a fun song. I mean, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road is amazing as well. Count on the Wind, I mean, one of the great ballads of all time. And he just comes out with these great pop numbers and great ballads one after another during this time period. But yeah, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. And there's some really good deep cuts as well. Great Seal, I think. I really love on that as well. And so many to talk about. But anyways, I think Saturday Night's Ride for Fighting is on there. But yeah, that's a great album. But then you got like Madman Across the Water before that, which has Tiny Dancer, which is probably my second favorite Elton John song of all time. The piano playing is so great. I love a good piano player, and he's a really great singer too. Besides, and just really catchy music. I mean, and really beautiful ballads, really catchy music. My favorite song though is Your Song, which came off his Elton John, his second album, which is his self-titled album, Elton John, which is a decent album overall. But Your Song, I love that song. I think it's one of the best written love songs of all time. And you can tell anybody that this is your song. It's quite simple, but now it's done. I hope you don't mind. I put down words, how wonderful life is while you're in the world. Yeah, one of the best lyrics ever, in my opinion. And throughout that song, it's just, again, great piano playing. And I love the meta of him telling the person, this is your song. I'm writing the song for you. Love it. And this is his early song. And it's already like, I know this is Bernie Taupin writing it, but it's like, man, great Bernie Taupin lyrics with Elton John's great musicality is just perfect combination for that. And there's other stuff like Daniel. I love Daniel as well. Leave On. I mean, come on. There's just so many amazing. If you took all of his great hits, I mean, he has one of the best catalogs of amazing hits of all time. I mean, there's like too many. You can fill out a double album of just hit songs from Elton John. I think he's maybe the best like pure pop singer. Like I always said, like they call Michael Jackson the king of pop, and I'm like, Elton John is to me the king of pop. I think he's maybe the best pop singer and songwriter of all time. Whatever the combination of them. Anyway, just so much great stuff in there. Even was it Calibu? I think one of the more recent albums. Man, so good. He had like, and even the last album, you have like Don't Let the Sun Come Down on Me is great. And then the last album that we listened to had that Sorry It Seems to Be the Hardest Word. I mean, gosh, there's just so many amazing songs. I can go on forever. Anyway, but yeah, Elton John, number 4 on my list. Number 3, I wasn't expecting to put him this high, but I really lately have been listening to a lot of his albums, and he has some of the best albums, and that is Billy Joel here at number 3. It surprised me because for a long time I would always say Elton John I thought was much better than Billy Joel. And it's funny, if you take Elton John's big hits, I might still say Elton John maybe has more big hits, and he has more albums. Billy Joel has like 13 albums. Elton John has 20 some albums, probably 30 albums. I don't know. Even though I've heard that his later work isn't as good on Elton John, but I put Billy Joel number 3 because his best stuff, I think, is his best albums are better than Elton John's best albums by a hair. They both have great albums, but I really enjoy what I'm hearing at Billy Joel. Plus, I saw a documentary recently on HBO about Billy Joel that I really enjoyed, and it gave me a little more insight on him as well. And he's a guy kind of, and again, it's funny having Billy Joel and Elton John next to each other because they kind of compare to each other because they both are probably the most famous piano players, singers, of all time. Elton John came first and Billy Joel. And in fact, I know Billy Joel hated being compared to Elton John because he felt like, of course, he didn't want to be compared to anybody. And he felt like, I'm different than Elton John. Though they both kind of sing pop music. Elton John, they had a little bit different feel to them. But again, Billy Joel, though, has some great, I don't know, not only great hits, great deep cuts, but I don't know, he has some of the best albums I'm finding. And we've been going through his albums also on, I think, SoundLab Studios, Scott's SoundLab Studios channel. We've been going through his albums, and we're actually just getting to is like his best stuff. Um, which next one's going to be The Pretender, which is like his biggest album of all time. So we're getting some really, really good Billy Joel. Surprisingly, what I found is I really love Cold Spring Harbor's first album. I give it 10 out of 10. She's Got Away. It's maybe my second favorite Billy Joel song of all time, and it's on his very first album. But I don't know. I really like that album. I think it's a really good album, really underrated. All that. Piano Man. It's funny. I'm not a big fan of the album, but Piano Man is my favorite Billy Joel song. Ever since I heard that song, it's always been one of my favorite songs of all time. One of the best written songs. I mean, it's just about a bar and the different people that are in the bar and their lives. It's, isn't what they would like it to be. Um, the waitress is practicing politics, and the businessman's getting stoned. We're drinking a drink called Loneliness, but it's better than drinking alone. I mean, come on, it's just some of the best lyrics of all time in that song, and piano playing and all that. Love Piano Man. Actually, kind of like what's it called, Secondhand Serenade was Streetlight Serenade. Sorry, Streetlight Serenade. I actually kind of like that album. I heard that's not a pretty good album. I don't know. I found it actually really good. A lot of good deep cuts on that one. Turnstile, it's funny. I wasn't as big a fan of that one as a lot of people. Um, but Pretender, 52nd Street, Glass Houses, you're talking about three amazing albums right after each other. That's like his big run of albums that I absolutely love. Pretender, I mean, yeah, people talk about that album being his favorite, being a favorite. It's actually my third favorite probably right now, which might be surprising, um, but I mean, still great. It's an amazing album. Vienna is a song I've really, really grown on me. I love that song. But there's all kinds of, I'm forgetting all the name of the songs, but She's Got Away. Oh my gosh. Another amazing ballad from, again, the difference between him and Elton John is Elton John's not writing the songs, but Barry Toppin is. Billy Joel is writing some really great songs, and he's a great lyricist, besides being a great piano player and a really good singer. I mean, he's got all of it, in one. And yeah, Pretender, really great album. It's got big hits, got great deep cuts on there. 52nd Street, his only album that won Album of the Year, but that is a great album. Rosalina Eyes, I think it's called, is my favorite song on there. It's like a deep cut, but I really like that song. Really great discovery there. But you got stuff like You May Be Right is great. Only the Good Die Young. I'm trying to think of some of his big hits. Um, um, Moving On Out is great. I mean, there's so many great hits as well as the deep cuts are amazing. But 52nd Street, really great album. And then Glass Houses is my favorite album right now of his, and probably will be. Uh, I love um, what's it called? All for Lena, I think it's called. Oh man, that was such an amazing discovery. That is so good. I can't believe it's not a big hit, but it's All for Lena. And Sleeping with Television On, I think is a great song too. That's like a great deep cut. Besides all the big hits, like I mentioned, yeah, lots of great hits on there. But I don't know, that that album's like a 10 out of 10, just perfect album for me for Billy Joel. I don't know if that's a hot take, but those three albums in a row, absolutely amazing stuff. And again, I've heard like one of his later albums I didn't like as, I think Innocent Man, I wasn't as big of a fan of, but I know a lot of his later albums aren't as big, but still, just because of that period, like I said, I really like Cold Spring Harbor, and even Streetlight Serenade I think was great. Piano Man wasn't great, but Piano Man the song is amazing. But anyways, just that run of albums is so good, and so many great deep cuts and all that. That I don't know, Billy Joel is kind of risen up for me as one of my favorite. I've always liked Billy Joel, but recently he's a guy that's really gone up my list of one of my favorite artists to listen to. So yeah, Billy Joel, number 3 on my list. All right, so it leaves me number two. Number 2 on my list is Phil Collins. Yeah, Phil Collins. I've always been a pretty big fan of Phil Collins as a solo artist. I didn't realize that he was in the band Genesis. I didn't really know who Genesis was growing up. Like that wasn't a band I was really familiar with or anybody ever talked about. It's only until recently that I've listened to Genesis, the band, because my friends are all big Genesis fans. And to me, Phil Collins is the best stuff on Genesis. And to be honest, going through Genesis, thinking about it, um, Sorry, my mom came in. She was looking for something down here in the basement. She turned the lights off, and I was like, "Did the electricity go out?" What's going? Sorry, I was try to finish this up, I guess, because my mom's gonna be coming up and down here. Um, Phil Collins, though, yeah, really, I really love his last two albums with Genesis, which kind of coincide with his first couple albums on solo work, which is crazy. He's putting out the best Genesis work and his best solo work at the same time. Um, but I do love Invisible Touch and uh, We Can't Dance, I think it's called, or something like that. I love those two albums a lot. And then you get the solo work with, Face Value. I mean, oh my gosh, with In the Air Tonight. What an amazing song. The best like drum, what do you call it? Pretending the drum song. But I love that song. But that's a great album. Uh, then of course No Jacket Required. I think it was his third album. Was the really huge album that won him the Grammy Album of the Year, and is another just absolutely fantastic album. Again, I wish I had the albums in front of me. I could talk more about the music, but Against All Odds is my favorite song from him, which isn't even on an album. It's like from a movie. What I love about Phil Collins is that not only does he have a great voice, I love his voice, but I think I really feel his passion when he's singing more than about anybody else. When he's singing Against All Odds about, take a look at me now, um, he's trying to win back his love, and he's saying it's against all the odds, but it's the chance I'm going to have to take, whatever. But man, when he sings that, take a look at me now, it's like you really feel the heartbreak in his voice and the passion. And maybe that's because he was an actor as a kid, so he knows how to act, and maybe brings that passion out in the. But I don't know. But I hear that in a lot of his music, though. I just feel like he's so good at bringing out the passion of the song, whether it's a heartbreaking song, a love song, whatever. And of course, really good songwriting as well. Great pop hits, great ballads. I love all that. Um, yeah, a lot of great. I mean, his greatest hits, I absolutely love. Like, I have a greatest hits album of his. It's one of my favorite greatest hits albums to listen to. He just has so many great songs on those albums. All Night Long, love that song. One of my all-time favorites as well. But yeah, Susudia, of course, it was a big one. Um, Again, I'm not gonna remember everything, but man, he has so many great songs there. But Seriously is actually my favorite album of his. Might be surprising. It's not No Jack Requires, it's not Face Value. Probably his two biggest albums, but Seriously is a really great album. I give that a 10 out of 10 actually. Um, I would say his first like four albums are all really good. And that's why he makes the number two here on my list, because he's hitting on all cylinders on the first four albums. I mean, they're all selling really good. He's has numerous number one hits. And then No Jack Required wins album of the year. So I mean, this is all like in the early 80s period. So like early 80s, it was like, I know people are going to say Michael Jackson was the king of the 80s. To me, Phil Collins was the king of the 80s. He's putting out the best music. I'm a bigger fan than him, obviously, than Michael Jackson, as he didn't make my list for my honorable mentions. But again, there's other reasons for that. But anyways, Phil Collins to me, almost underrated. I think he was one of the best solo artists that people don't talk enough about. Here he's number two on my list. I just, after listening to, I went through his whole discography. He has every album is really good except for maybe two, and he doesn't have a really long discography either. There's maybe only two albums I don't really like. Everything else, though, I think is really great stuff. Anyway, so yeah, real big fan of his solo work. Phil Collins here at number two. So it leaves me number one. This is an easy number one. Maybe you can guess it if you don't know it already. Whoops, sorry. Number one, I got Paul McCartney. I mean, my favorite band was the Beatles. Oh, I consider John Lennon too, solo work. The only problem is John Lennon has some really bad albums, solo work. He does have a couple really good albums though. And Yoko Ono kind of ruins some of his music as well. Paul McCartney though, again, really long discography. I've listened to all his music, and yeah, Paul McCartney, to be honest, was my favorite Beatle. I mean, he did my favorite Beatles songs like Yesterday and Let It Be and Long Winding Road, Hey Jude. I mean, those are my favorite songs. Some of my favorite songs of all time. Then you get to solo work. I mean, Maybe I'm Amazed from McCartney is great. I love Junk even. It's a great song. Every Night. There's a lot of good songs on the first album. Ram is great too. I mean, Uncle Albert. I love that song. besides Ram On and uh, what's it called? Girl of the Country or something. Some of the Country, I really like that song. Backseat of My Car, great closer to that album. Ram, what a great album that is. Then my all-time favorite album is Band on the Run. If you heard me talk about it before, Band on the Run is my fourth favorite album of all time, so it's a top four album. And my top three are Beatles albums. My number four is the Paul McCartney album. That's uh, how much I love Paul McCartney, I guess, and his music has made such a big impact on me. But I love Band on the Run. I mean, Band on the Run song is one of my all-time favorite songs of his. Jed is amazing. 1985, Bluebird, No Words, I think, is on that album. I love every song of that album. It's just amazing. Just amazing. I guess I would say he's mostly great pop music, ballads and pop music. Again, I suppose I haven't been repeating myself. I love ballads and pop music and folk music and all that stuff. And he does a combination. He does some rock here and there. Like I love Silly Love Songs is amazing. One of my favorites as well. Listen to what the man said. So uh, I love London Town. London Town's a very underrated album. I really like that album. London Town's a great song. But with a little luck is one of his catchiest pop tunes. I love that song as well. But there's some Wonderlust is a great song. Off of Tug of War, I love that. I love Pipes of Peace. Pipes of Peace is a 10 out of 10 album for me, and most everybody puts that at the bottom of the list for Paul McCartney. It's like my third favorite Paul McCartney album. It's crazy. I absolutely love Pipes of Peace. You have the two Michael Jackson songs, which are actually pretty good. I think Say 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 and I forget the other one. But anyways, two really actually really good songs from there. Through Our Love is such a great song that no one talks about. Man, it's a great song. That album's amazing, and nobody likes that album, I feel like, and I love that album, Pipes of Peace. So that's my kind of hot take on that. But um, and I talk about like I know people love Venus and Mars. I'm not as big on that. And some other stuff like Tug of War is a good album. Back to the Egg is a decent album. Uh, but definitely for me, Band on the Run and like London Town, Pipes of Peace are my favorite of that kind of early period, of that 70s kind of period of his, maybe getting to the 80s. Only No More Lonely Nights is a great song off of Give My Regards to Broad Street, another amazing song. Mulligan Tire, I love that song. That's definitely like a top five favorite Paul McCartney song. Not on any album, but man, I love the bagpipes. Just love that chorus. It repeats itself. The Mulligan Tire. Oh, just a beautiful song. Absolutely love that. But here's the thing: is I actually really love his '90s and 2000s. Like you think, okay, after the '70s and the '80s, he's kind of downtrending a little bit. Like his music is not, he's not as popular anymore. There's other artists that are overtaking. He's kind of old news. But to me, he's got some great stuff. I like Off the Ground. I think is a really good album. Very underrated there. Then Flaming Pie, I absolutely love. I remember the first time that album came out, first time I heard Flaming Pie, I absolutely loved it. I mean, the songs we were singing. My favorite Paul McCartney song is Calico Skies. That's one of the greatest acoustic guitar songs of all time, and a great written love song too. But I love Calico Skies, Little Willow. I mean, it is a great album. And so to me, it was like, man, getting into his 90s, I might like his 90s work even better than his 70s work, which is crazy to say, because that was like his peak period. But that was great. Chaos and Creation in the Backyard is my second favorite Paul McCartney album. Um, I love all the songs, like English Tea, even I really like. Uh, Anyway is a great song. Too Much Rain, Follow Me, I think is on there. It's really good. My favorite though is the This Never Happened to Me Before. This never happened before. Yeah, I think it's the name of the song. This never happened before. Love that song. Amazing. Yeah, I love Chaos and Creation Backyard. It's funny. It's not his best work necessarily, but every song is really good. Um, it's just a perfect album for me. 10 out of 10. Memory Almost Fool is a great album too. I love The End of the End. What an amazing song about, your funeral and what you want people to think about you. I love that, but there's so many good stuff on that. I can go on and on. I'll just go quickly, but Memory Almost Fool is another great album. New, I really like New. These early days about singing about him and John Lennon as kids, I love that song. Besides Queenie Eye is pretty good, and New is a good song. New, underrated album. I think really good stuff there. Um, and then that's probably my favorite last album of his, because then Egypt Station is decent. It's got some good stuff there. I'm not as big on McCartney 3. Anyways, but overall, he has like 6 like just amazing albums, some of my favorite albums of all time. And his lists of great songs are just numerous. Some of my favorite all time. I think, in my opinion, I'm gonna say this right now. I think he's the best songwriter of all time. I absolutely love his songwriting. If I'm picking my best songwriter, it's Paul McCartney. One of the best musicians ever. He has multiple albums where, like the McCartney albums, I think, where he plays every instrument. I mean, not only is he lead singing, he's playing the lead guitar, the rhythm guitar, he's playing the piano, he's playing the bass, he's doing the drums. I mean, it's crazy how talented this guy is. People say Prince is the most talented musician. My opinion, Paul McCartney is my pick for most talented musician of all time and greatest songwriter. So that's why he easily makes my number one favorite male solo artist of all time. So that's my top 10 there. Again, no comments on this on this video. I'm sorry I had a little bit of a pause because my mom came down. I'll probably do a short video at some point, kind of recapping all of this. But if you are listening to or watching this, I appreciate it. And please comment, what do you think about these 10 male solo artists, or give me your top 10. I know Adam's been doing that from What the Gym. Really appreciate that. And everybody that's, watching this. And hopefully this is a good list of top 10 male artists. I know I'm going to get a little crap because Ed Sheeran and Lionel Richie, but hopefully everybody else is respectable enough that it'll be a good list anyway. So yeah, top 10 male solo artists. I'll do female in another week or two. So besides that, hope everybody have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you later.